Tonight on News 5 Live, the Belize Police Department provides additional details on the charges brought against the former senior diplomat, Alexis Rosado. PM Briceño weighs in on what it means for Belize's ICJ case. And 19,000 signatures later, is the government prepared to honor a people's referendum on marijuana legalization? These stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
Download the SmartStream app on the Android Play Store and create your account to get access to movies and stream at home or on the go. Prepaid customers can purchase regular data packages or get a discounted rate on a special SmartStream package by dialing 7737. Postpaid customers will be billed monthly. Never miss a movie again with SmartStream.
¿Sabías que Hospital Galenia modificó los protocolos de seguridad y prevención de salud ante la pandemia de COVID-19 para evitar contagios?
Se garantiza que todo paciente que llega a quirófano está libre de COVID y durante su periodo de recuperación no va a tener contacto con un paciente infectado.
Hospital Galenia, más que un hospital.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Monday, April 25th. I am Sabrina Daly. Disgraced senior diplomat Alexis Rosado is once again in the news tonight as more details around the charges of rape and aggravated assault are now being made public. Last Wednesday, the former ambassador to Belgium was paraded into the Belmopan Magistrates Court, charged for 2 counts of rape and 7 counts of aggravated assault, following a report from a woman who alleges that from as early as 13, she had been assaulted multiple times and raped twice by Rosado. After recording statements, the Belize Police Department, on the advice of the Director of Public Prosecution, leveled the charges against Rosado. Today, Commissioner of Police Chester Williams said that rape is a complex issue. It is difficult to prove and more difficult to disprove, but that determination is up to the court.
The police had received a complaint from a female who had reported that for a number of years she had been sexually assaulted by the former ambassador, and I think on 1 or 2 occasions she was raped. We conducted a thorough investigation into the matter, and the file was submitted to the Director of Public Prosecution's office for advice. And it was last week, Wednesday, that we received directives from the DPP directing that Mr. Rosado be charged for several counts of aggravated assault and I think 1 count of rape. He had since been arraigned at the Belmopan Magistrate Court in respect to those matters, and the matter is now before the court for determination. It is not strange for that to occur. It had happened on numerous occasions before, and it's a matter for the court to determine whether or not they believe or they will believe the virtual complainant. But we have to appreciate the fact that when these things occur, the victim, women for the most part, may be reluctant to come forward, particularly due to the social stature of a person. And there may also be other factors that may deter a person from coming forward to make a complaint immediately. So it is not unusual for a victim to come forth that late after having been done something by someone.
And the law provides for
yes,
that?
Yes, the law does make provisions for that, yes.
But Commissioner, the child was 13 at that time. What role did the parents play? I mean, my daughter tell me something as a parent. Why wait so long as well to do something?
Well, perhaps she didn't report the matter to her parents. So it's something as I said before, the court will look into in determining whether or not they're going to believe her or they're going to believe Mr. Rosado.
In terms of the investigation, it wouldn't just be the complainant's word, I imagine. There would have to be some sort of physical evidence, if possible, and other evidence to back up what she's saying.
Well, not necessarily. Rape is a complex issue, a complex investigation. As I said, that allegations are easy to be made, difficult to prove, and more difficult to disprove. For the most part, it is her word against his, and even though, yes, we know that the law has changed, where in the past it required that there must be some level of collaboration, but that is no more the case. There need not be any collaboration.
While the police believe there is a case for Rosado to answer in a court of law, Prime Minister John Briceño says that Rosado's resignation as ambassador and co-agent on the Belize team at the ICJ will have no bearing on the presentation we make or the result of the case. This is despite the fact that Rosado was appointed to the post based on his seniority and extensive background on the Belize-Guatemala dispute. But last week, he was charged with a slew of sexual offenses in the Belmopan Magistrates Court. Here is how Prime Minister Briceño spoke about the new developments on this matter.
Alexis Rosado played a very, very important role, a senior role in the work that we've been doing in preparing our case to the ICJ. But as co-agents, what they do is they collate, they put all of the papers together. We have different attorneys dealing with the different issues, and then they put it together and then do one and present it to the ICJ. Fortunately, we don't have one. We have both co-agents, meaning that there's more than one. The other co-agent is Ambassador Assad Schuman, senior person when it comes to a senior ambassador, and a person, probably the most knowledgeable person when it comes to the issue of the Belize-Guatemala dispute. So no, it will not in any way affect us. My heart goes out to Alexis Rosado on the issues that he's facing, but like in everything, our rule of law is based on the presumption of innocence until you are proven guilty.
Former Minister of Works Rena Montero is still wanted by the police, who have sought the intervention of Interpol to apprehend and arrest the erstwhile Cayo Central area representative to face a criminal charge. A copy of an Interpol bulletin dated March 3rd was circulated today. It bears a picture of the former minister, his name, address, and other particulars, and reads that he is wanted to face a charge of willful oppression, an offense that carries a maximum prison term of 2 years. The document also highlights the brief fact of the case that is being made against him, based on allegations of, quote, major irregularities and wrongdoings, unquote, that reportedly occurred during his tenure as Minister of Works. During that time, it is alleged that he, quote, directed and permitted the use of government property assigned to the ministry to carry out work on his personal private property, family members' property, and close associates, therefore abusing the power of his office, unquote. The initial warrant for Montero's arrest had been circulated from as early as September of last year, just after he had reportedly left the country, purportedly seeking medical treatment. Since then, the police have not been able to locate the former government official. The churches seem to have gained momentum in their bid to push for a referendum on the topic of legalizing marijuana. It is a controversial issue that has garnered strong support for and against. But with the churches reaching the threshold to trigger a referendum, Prime Minister John Briceño says they respect the church's view.
They had adequate enough time to tell us that that's what they wanted. We had extensive consultations with everyone, including the churches, indoor and public and private. And now for them now to say, well, that they want to have a referendum, well, then we have to respect their views.
Coming up, domestic violence once again takes center stage in the public discourse. Devon Logan is charged for the murder of Tracy Thompson, while Kristen Roches is wanted for the stabbing of his common-law wife in Placencia. Details when we return.
Necesitas un proveedor de servicio móvil que te permita estar conectado con una cobertura LTE rápida y confiable en cualquier instante y desde cualquier lugar. ¿Quieres hablar con tu familia? ¿Compartir tus experiencias con alguien especial? ¿Administrar tu pequeña empresa? Para todo lo que necesites te mereces la mejor experiencia móvil. Ahora puedes hacer mucho más con los planes de datos postpago aumentados de Digi. Puedes disfrutar de 8 gigas de datos en cualquier instante por tan solo $55 mensuales. O puedes compartir hasta 120 gigas con 6 de tus amigos más cercanos. Estos son más datos LTE para que disfrutes durante el día, por las noches y los fines de semana sin restricciones. Disfruta a lo máximo con más datos para llamadas y mensajes ilimitados en todos los planes postpago de Digi. Visita la tienda Digi más cercana para inscribirte hoy. Solo necesitas una identificación válida y un comprobante de domicilio. Únete a la red de mayor velocidad y cobertura en Belice. Para más información visita nuestra página web www.livedigi.com o envíanos un mensaje a través de WhatsApp o Facebook. Digi, nuestra telecomunicación nacional.
Every day, we access energy for cooling, lighting, and powering our electrical appliances and devices at work and at home. During cooler months, we rely less on cooling appliances such as fans and air conditioners. However, during warmer months, as the temperature and humidity rises, we use more energy to cool our spaces, and our appliances and electrical devices work harder than they do during the rest of the year. When the months become hotter, let's all practice energy conservation. Here are a few changes that you can make to manage your energy use. Check that all appliances and electrical devices are working efficiently. Turn lights off when not in the room. Unplug chargers, appliances when not in use. Turn off fans and TVs. Use energy-saving light bulbs such as LEDs. And look for the Energy Star products when purchasing appliances and electrical devices. These easy changes can reduce energy use and costs. You can also monitor your energy use during the month by reading your meter and calculating the reading using BEL's bill calculator on our mobile app or by visiting our website. Let's all save energy.
Know the facts. On March 30th, 2022, the Senate passed the Cannabis and Industrial Hemp Control and Licensing Act 2022. The act will become law when it is signed by the Governor General of Belize. The church says that regulating and providing a legal framework for marijuana use and sale will result in increased crime and lawlessness. For decades, there were no laws to govern the sale or use of marijuana, resulting in turf wars, crime, violence, and death. This act provides strict and regulated guidelines for the sale of marijuana by licensed and authorized dispensaries. All unauthorized sales of marijuana will be illegal and will be prosecuted under the act. In fact, the act will result in more control and enforcement and less crime and violence associated with the unlawful sale and use of marijuana. Don't listen to those who remain silent on marijuana when it was unregulated and rampant and are now vocal when there is a real move to regulate the industry. Know the facts.
Welcome to Design Depot. All in one place. Shop brands you know and trust, like Kohler. Welcome, GE Appliances.
Welcome,
Oran Windows.
welcome,
Tiles from around the world.
welcome.
Sherwin-Williams Paint and Coatings. Visit us today at mile 3 on the Philip Golson Highway or call us at 223-3768. Design Depot. All in one place.
Tracy Thompson was fatally stabbed by her common-law husband in Calcutta village in the early hours of Friday morning. The incident followed an altercation the couple had earlier that night that resulted in Devon Logan being chased away from the property. When he returned sometime later, he inflicted the deadly injuries on the mother of 3 before fleeing the scene. Logan, who is originally from St. Bite, was subsequently apprehended by police while traveling south to his home village.
Devon Logan received one charge, a single charge of murder. And this was in connection with the stabbing death of Miss Thompson that took place, Tracy Thompson, on Friday in Calcutta village.
Sir, I must say that I think police were quick in their response to be able to detain Mr. Logan, who is obviously not from Calcutta, but from down south, but we're quick to detain him and charge him. Let's talk about that.
If I'm not certain if the report that was sent out contained the fact that Ms. Thompson and Mr. Logan were involved in a domestic fight just hours to her being found dead. We know that Mr. Logan returned, well, it is said that he returned to the scene of the crime, and Ms. Thompson was found dead by her relatives in that house. Mr. Logan was detained by our officers whilst trying to reach the village in the southern Belize that he comes from originally. And a quick investigation led to him being apprehended and the file being sent to the DPP's office, where we got back the directive to charge for murder.
By all accounts, the couple seemed to have had a tumultuous relationship that often resulted in physical violence. Despite several reports being made in the wake of such altercations, Tracy Thompson refused to proceed with court action against her common-law husband. According to Commissioner of Police Chester Williams, she withdrew her statements against Logan on previous occasions.
When it reaches this stage, where the victim have been victimized before and nothing is done, it comes back to the police, right? Everybody say, oh, she made complaints to the police and police did nothing. Yes, she may have made reports, but the question is, what was her request? She requested no court action. And this is why I have always said to victims of domestic violence, you need to make a stop yourself. There's only so much the police can do, because if it is that you go to the police and say you don't want court action, then the police will not pursue it. Now, if it is brought to my attention, and not every case of domestic violence is brought to my attention, but once any is brought to my attention, I will say to the police, whether the victim wants or not, we will take the matter to the court and let her go to the court and withdraw the matter. So that when things like this happen, we can say, yes, she came, we took the matter to the court, and she went to the courts and withdrew the matter. And with that, then we wash our hands. But
you're stating that she withdrew the matter.
Well, her complaint was that she do not wish court action. And because she did not wish court action, the police did not pursue the matter any further in terms of arresting the person and taking the person before a court of law. Right? So again, I want to emphasize the point. When you are being abused by your spouse, particularly women who are being abused, you cannot sit back and allow your abuser to continue abusing you.
Police are also seeking Honduran national Criston Roches for charges in connection with a stabbing incident involving his common-law wife, Vanessa Reyes. The incident took place in Placencia village last weekend during a domestic dispute. In the wake of that ordeal, Reyes has taken to her social media account to detail her experiences with domestic violence at the hands of Roches. She has also shared videos of the horrific incident that took place in the presence of several bystanders.
That video has been sent to me, and I have directed that the person be picked up and dealt with. I got that video. And again, it's just sad to see the way how some men treat women. It cannot be that you say you love a woman and treat her in such a way. And whether or not she wants court action in that matter, the guy will be prosecuted. Let her go to the court and say she wants nothing. But I have given instruction that he be dealt with.
After the break, a murder in Red Bank Village and a shooting on Handyside Street leaves 3 persons injured. But first, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
No matter how many consultations are held, insofar as the church is concerned, this is not the direction in which we should be going at this time.
The government of Belize respects the view of the church, but the truth is that the marijuana discussion has been ongoing for years, including comprehensive consultations with all partners. The Cannabis and Industrial Hemp Control and Licensing Act 2022 is the result of years of discussion and consultations with input from the church and addresses the use and sale of marijuana in a responsible, strictly enforced and monitored legal framework. Read the act, inform yourself, know the truth.
What if the profits of your bank were shared equally with you instead of with unknown shareholders and large corporations? What if those profits remained in Belize to enrich the communities where we live? What if just having an account with your bank meant that you were now a part owner of that bank? What if your voice mattered and you had a say in how your bank is being run? What if your bank was always looking out for your best interests and its biggest goal was to see you succeed? That's what it means to be part of a credit union where all of our members are in this together. Communities work best when they work for each other. Cooperation strengthens us all. Discover the credit union difference and find out just how stronger we can be together.
Deserve a fast, dependable, high-quality internet service in their homes for online, virtual classes, and to work from home. It's the new way of life. DigiNet is the #1 fiber service that is powering Belize's digital transformation. And now, this reliable fiber service is even more affordable with our new entry plan. For a limited time only, you and your family can enjoy 20 megabits per second of fiber service to your home for only $49 monthly. No more missed classes and interrupted meetings. It's costing you time and money. DigiNet is better than cable and better than wireless. Visit a Digistore today to sign up for the best home internet service in Belize. Come see what you've been missing. Same high quality, fast, and reliable fiber service, now at an even lower price. For more information, visit livedigi.com/diginet. Digi, our national telecom.
Last Friday, we reported on the murder of Tracy Thompson, a vicious act allegedly perpetrated by her common-law husband. That was preceded by a similar incident over the Easter weekend. In Placencia, Vanessa Reyes was attacked and stabbed, allegedly by a man she had a relationship with in the past. These are incidents that are all too familiar to many more women who are living in similar situations. Today, we asked the Women's Development Officer of the Ministry of Human Development, Michelle Irving, if the system has failed women who are caught in these situations and end up being killed.
Yes, we may have to concede based on we see people losing their life that somewhere along the line something might have failed them, systems or individuals or inability to really seek the necessary support that they may need. So we can't sit here and say that, all is rosy because we see young women, we see people losing their lives or being disfigured or having very traumatic experiences. However, we know that we sometimes have to ensure that we seek the necessary guidance and support that we may need. Sometimes we visit a particular department and we do not get the answer that we want or that we think we should have. I think that people should then continue to seek solutions to their problem, ask someone else, go somewhere else, seek other guidance, seek other information. There are Women's Development Officer that deals with specifically gender-based violence throughout the country. So there is one in all the major towns and city that people can seek assistance, either by information, either by referral, either just to talk to someone about what they may be going through. They may not be so aware of their rights, the laws, how they can get help. So you could just walk into the ministry and seek that information. If you are not able to do so yourself, you could also make a phone call to the ministry. We have called, there is also hotline that is available that you can call. And there are many resources that can be used to support you if you are in any of these difficult situations.
A murder took place on Sunday evening in the village of Red Bank in southern Belize. It is reported that 5 persons were out socializing and drinking, but that quickly turned into an altercation during which a knife was introduced to inflict a fatal stab wound to 21-year-old Bonifacio Shaw. While Bonifacio was stabbed once to the abdomen and succumbed to his injury, 13-year-old Adrian Shaw was also stabbed in the jaw, stomach, and arm, but survived. Police say that the minor punched Jose Cal twice in the face before the deceased grabbed Cal around the neck. Cal took out a hunter knife from his bag and inflicted the stab wounds. ASP Fitzroy Yearwood says that the murder weapon has been retrieved and Cal has been detained.
Clearly we can see where consumption of alcohol has led to this recent murder. We know that Bonifacio Rush, 21 years, labor of Stan Creek District, had an apparent stab wound to the lower side of the abdomen. Initial police report investigation revealed that Adrian Shaw, a 13-year-old, also received injuries in this incident. And we have one man detained that we believe is responsible for this this murder. No? We know that these men were in Red Bank Village socializing when an incident occurred between Bonifacio Shaw and Francisco Shaw and Adrian Shaw. We know that these men were taken to the polyclinic in Independence, where Bonifacio succumbed to his injuries. We have we have the others that were socializing with him in custody, the Hosekal, where we also have what is believed to be the murder weapon. Hopefully by the end of today, we will have charges levied in this recent murder.
Commissioner of Police Chester Williams also gave an update on the murder of Michael Clark, which occurred in Roaring Creek last Wednesday. The resident of the Another World area in the village was gunned down in front of his family as he parked his SUV in the driveway. Today, Compal Williams says that while there is a main suspect, investigators are following various angles to determine a motive.
There are several angles that we are looking at as possible motives. We have a suspect we believe is responsible, but where investigators are still trying to tie the pieces together to gather the evidence needed to see if we'll be able to close in on that suspect and perhaps arrest and charge that individual. So it's an ongoing investigation.
3 persons, including a woman who were standing on Handyside Street on Sunday night, were injured when a pair of gunmen on motorcycle opened fire on them. Carmen Canelo and her common-law husband, Michael Usher, were along with Stephen Hope when they came under attack. While Canelo and Hope remain hospitalized at the KHMH, Usher, who was grazed by a bullet, is not cooperating with investigators. According to Assistant Superintendent Fitzroy Yearwood, the shooting incident may be the result of an ongoing rivalry between various groups in that area.
We know that Stephen Hope, Carmen Canelo, and Michael Usher were standing on Handyside Street when 2 men entered Handyside Street from Gabriel Lane and opened fire in the direction of the trio. We know that Hope and Carmen Canelo were admitted in stable condition, but Michael Usher refused to get any medical treatment for his graze that he received during this incident. We know that the motorcycle riders then made good their escape into Daly Street, and the police are still looking to try to identify these persons that we know are responsible for this, the orchestrators of this crime.
Sir, you said just now that the condition of both victims, all 3 victims, well, at least the 2 that are hospitalized, they're stable?
Yes.
None of them is critical?
No.
Any idea as to what motivated the shooting?
Honestly, we do not know, but we know that there's an ongoing rivalry between people of that neighborhood where the shooting occurred and another nearby group. And we know that the mediation unit will be addressing that situation today, hopefully for us to establish what spiked this to occur.
Is it possible that Mr. Usher was the intended target?
I wouldn't want to do that, to identify the intended target. It's neither here nor there because he's not cooperating with us.
A video showing a police officer purportedly manhandling a civilian in St. Bite Village is causing outrage on social media. The incident happened over the weekend in front of a group of persons who themselves were hostile towards police officers. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams viewed the footage earlier today and shared his thoughts with the media.
It's appalling for the most part to see sometimes how the media would run with negativity when it involves police officers. I watched the video, as you showed me a few minutes ago, for the first time. And from what I saw, the police was not really choking the person. The police was holding the person in a certain position. If you can look at the person was still, for the most part, resisting and was still moving his entire body, which means that the manner in which he was being held by the police did not fully restrain him. So it is not per se a tight chokehold, as one may want to say. And I look at the behavior of the persons around, how they were behaving towards the police and trying to remove the person that the police seemingly was trying to detain. And again, these are things that the public needs to be aware of. The police officers are out there to perform their duties. And when you come so close to the police as I saw in that video, it is tantamount to obstruction.
A Belizean American visitor who was headed back to Los Angeles on Friday was busted at the Philip Gosen International Airport with a substantial quantity of illegal fisheries products in his luggage. The individual, who is yet to be named, has been issued a summons and is facing a minimum fine of $20,000 Belize for having in his possession undersized and out-of-season lobster. This morning, Fisheries Enforcement Supervisor Hampton Gamboa provided the media with additional details of the bust.
We've received some information that we had to get our counterpart at the airport to assist us with. The airport authority, Baja, the police, and aviation department assisted us with the inspection of a certain individual that we had gotten information about was leaving the country with some illegal products. In particular, in this case, it was lobsters during the close season, which reminds everyone that lobster season closes from the 1st of March to the 30th of June, inclusive of every year. So, based on those intel and information, we actually launched an operation to find the individual house. Unfortunately, because we don't have while doing the search, we got a call from the airport authorities that the person was checking in at the airport at that said time. We then made our way to the airport, and Baja and the police had the person in custody, and they eventually handed over the person to us. We checked the individual suitcases that he had, and there were seafoods in there. As a result, upon searching one of the suitcases, we found one in particular with lone lobster tails. We processed the individual there. The individual is a Belizean American, and we got all the details and everything from that said individual. And that person was issued a summons for him to be arraigned in court in the near future.
Just ahead, a renovated fire station is inaugurated in Orange Walk, and ground is broken for a new facility in Trial Farm. But first, here's a weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
Get your body sculpted with gym equipment and accessories from Benny's, celebrating 75 years of quality and savings.
Team
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul.
Hospital Galenia cuenta con las 4 más importantes certificaciones hospitalarias en el mundo, incluyendo la certificación internacional AENOR, que avala las mejores prácticas para evitar la propagación del SARS-CoV-2 en los hospitales.
Hospital Galenia, más que un hospital.
Bio-based plastics are plastics made partially or entirely from plant or biological material instead of petroleum. For example, plastics made from sugarcane bagasse, starch, and hemp. Bio-based plastics are great alternatives to petroleum-based plastics commonly found on the market and are mostly used in packaging applications and in fibers in the textile sector. If properly disposed of, these plastics break down faster and have little to no negative side effects on the environment when broken down. Click on the link below to see what you can do to help end the nightmare of single-use plastics. I'm Alison Castillo, and now you know.
Download the SmartStream app on the Android Play Store and create your account to get access to movies and stream at home or on the go. Prepaid customers can purchase regular data packages or get a discounted rate on a special SmartStream package by dialing 7737. Postpaid customers will be billed monthly. Never miss a movie again with SmartStream.
It's no secret that the country's fire service had, over several years, deteriorated almost to a point of disrepair. In at least 2 of the municipalities, the ceilings were falling in, and the trucks were outdated and lacked full functionality. To address the dire need for an overall upgrade, the government has allocated some $3 million to invest in better fire trucks, construct new fire stations, renovate existing stations, and outfitting them with the necessary equipment and amenities. News 5's Marian Ali was present on Saturday in Orange Walk for the symbolic ribbon-cutting ceremony for a newly renovated fire station, the groundbreaking for a new one, and the handing over of an upgraded fire truck. Here's her report.
1, 2, 3.
The Spartan brand 1,200-gallon capacity fire truck that now responds to fires in an Orange Walk is one of several upgrades that the district is getting. The recent acquisition is one of 3 trucks from the Calvary Fire Station in Canada. The other 2 will be deployed in Belize City and San Ignacio. The fire trucks are part and parcel of a countrywide rebuilding of the current system. Towards that end, Orange Walk also saw ground broken on Saturday for the construction of a new fire station in Trial Farm Village. Altogether, government has allocated some $3 million to invest in the countrywide upgrades.
We had brought it to the House of Representatives, informing the public about what we were going to do with those monies from the sale of the headquarters in Belize City. And now we have starting to bring into fruition the first of the fire stations that are being refurbished. We have 6 more to be refurbished, and we have 6 new fire stations that will be constructed.
The rationale behind having facilities at different locations is that firefighters would be able to reach fire scenes in a timelier fashion, particularly during peak traffic hours. Another aspect to the improvement includes installing new fire hydrants at strategic points where fire trucks can easily access water during fires. 35 new hydrants have already been placed in Orange Walk.
Fire hydrants, as the Prime Minister mentioned in his speech and the Mayor confirmed, is something that has to be done especially through the municipality. So the Town Council has to have their input. We have to have the meetings with BWS so that we can have that collaborative effort in trying to see that we establish them, but put them in the right place, and to have sufficient in strategic areas.
The overhaul of the National Fire Service will address more than just the aesthetics of the stations where these frontline workers spend so much of their time. In addition to providing a decent working atmosphere, it will also address issues to help boost the morale of the firemen.
We've been working on a lot of the intangibles. These firemen have been neglected for years. In terms of their working conditions, in terms of their employment. We haven't had a promotion for years in the fire service.
The remuneration wasn't there. People weren't getting their increments. They weren't getting their promotions. People were employed and sent to different stations based on political affiliation. Promotions were done based on political affiliation. That has now stopped. In Toledo, I'll tell you, I don't know how they have been surviving in that area, but the entire structure, PM, is filled up with wood lice. All through the wood lice, all through the building, the concrete, the blocks. They can't even plug in an electrical cord because it is filled up with wood lice. So what we're doing there is possibly even having to relocate because the area is really, really in a bad condition.
$90,000 was spent on the rehabilitative work at the Orange Walk Fire Station. The painting on the existing station was done by the men and women who make up the firefighting team there. Reporting for News 5, I'm Marion Ali.
New fire stations will be constructed in San Ignacio, Corozal, and Dangriga in collaboration with the U.S. government. As you just heard, the 3 fire trucks that government has acquired were purchased from the Calgary Fire Service in Canada. But many times the trucks we receive are donations, which means that while they are functioning, they may be older versions. So we asked if any consideration is given to fighting fires that involve high-rise buildings, since Belize has a number of those taller structures being built.
Sometimes we get donations and we take what we get. But certainly we have been looking at the fact that we really need those ladders for those high-rise buildings. Most of the trucks now, if they don't come with it, they are adapted to have the hose on top with the pressure hose so that they can spray from on top. I don't know the technical name for it, but from the top of the truck you can spray instead of just holding it on. And also the fact that one of the problems we have is the availability of water. If you notice, some of these trucks are large, but they hold 250 gallons of water. This one, I think, the long one holds 1,000 gallons of water. That's nothing. That's in 1 or 2 minutes that water is gone. So we are trying to see, the next step is now to try to see how we can get the funding to get Bowsers to follow the truck, so that then you can get the Bowser along with the truck, especially in those areas, maybe in rural communities where you don't have the fire hydrants.
But while the National Fire Service is celebrating its strides, there is one issue that came up on Saturday that could have caused confusion. Anibal Martinez, a man who has been a caretaker of a private property some at least 3 decades ago, told News 5 that he has been cleaning the parcel of land where the new fire station will go and had applied for the parcel of land. But the land is Crown land that has been designated for the fire station. We found out about the concern after the officials had left and asked Fire Chief Colin Gillett about it.
I think he'll have to take that up with them. Okay. With the lands ministry, right? Because this is part that they told us to.
He has brought a complaint to you?
Right. Right. So the same thing I'm telling him, he needs to take it up with the relevant authorities about that part. Okay. Right? Because we don't, this is the This is the land that was identified, and then we came and put up our sign.
Prime Minister Briceño later told us that he is sure that Area Representative Ramon Cervantes will sort out the matter for Mr. Martinez. CARICOM countries are contemplating alternatives they can use in light of the shrinking number of banking services that are now available with their U.S. counterparts. It began to affect many banks in the region around 2016, when American banks started to tighten controls with smaller banks for the sake of weeding out potentially risky users. De-risking, as the measure is known, has essentially upended the services that smaller countries, Belize included, relied on for global financing. Prime Minister John Briceño told reporters over the weekend that, as pro tempore chair of CARICOM, he raised concern over the matter when he presided over the discussions last month.
For a citizen to open a bank account, it takes them weeks, sometimes months. Yet you could walk in a U.S. government, in a U.S. bank, Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and in 30 minutes you could open your account and walk out with a credit card. And we feel that that's certainly not fair for us in the Caribbean and Central America. All of us are having this problem. The issue of corresponding banking, the relationship that we've had with some of these banks for decades, have been abruptly cut. Belize has lost 33% of the corresponding banking relationships that we had, the different banks with banks in the United States. Even the central bank has lost their one. Presently, our central bank has a banking relation with Crown agents. And Crown agents is listed probably around 4,200 and something in the world, in the number of banks. And the IMF and the other IFIs have pointed out to us, why is it that you're banking with Crown agents? And we're telling them, well, we have no option. We wish we could do something else. What has been done now, Mia Motley is the chair for financial services for the Caribbean. And through her effort and mine as a chairman, we managed to get Representative Maxine Waters, who is the chair for the House of Representatives in the United States for financial services, which include banking services. For the first time, we had U.S. representatives, and one as powerful as Maxine Waters, to come to us to hear what are our issues. So several of us ministers and heads of government, and myself as the pro temp chairman of CARICOM, went and then spoke to her. And several other banking officials were there. For instance, a senior vice president for Wells Fargo, who is a native of Trinidad and Tobago, who could appreciate what we're going through.
Prime Minister Briceño said that in many instances, the U.S. financial officials were not aware of the plight that Caribbean banks were facing. He said that the banks introduce stringent measures because the U.S. Congress passed rigid laws that can hold them liable in the tens of millions of dollars in fines if they are deemed to be managing money that are derived through illicit or illegal means. The U.S. officials are open to facilitate an audience between regional and U.S. banks, the PM informed.
As an example, the former governor of the central bank pointed out to me that we had services, central bank, with Bank of America. And Bank of America was earning about $3 to $4 million a year. And when Bank of America looked at the risk of providing us these services as opposed to the profits that they can make, they felt it was a risk that they would not take. So it's called de-risking. That's how that word de-risking has come about. So all of these banks have been cutting the services. I believe that they have a moral responsibility to provide these services for us. If they cut these financial services for us in the Caribbean, we're dead. How is it that people, Belizeans, can in the U.S. send money to their families here? How is it that we could pay for the imports that we're doing? How is it that people that want to buy from us in the tourism industry, how can they pay us if they cannot transfer us this money? One of the steps that we've taken is that Maxine Waters, and we're very, very appreciative about her and three other of our representatives that came along with her, what they did. She said she's now going to call a House committee meeting for her, the financial and banking committee, services committee, she is going to call in these banks, and then she's going to invite us to come in, so that then we can put our case to them. They're hoping that then that they can amend some of the legislation, change some of the regulations to have certain carve-outs for small countries like us. Maxine Waters has been making the point that they believe that we need to hold these banks responsible also, that they cannot cherry pick, that when you have a license to provide services, you need to provide it to everyone.
Up next, Miss Earth Destiny Wagner donates school supplies to her alma mater.
What is the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine? The Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is an RNA vaccine that triggers our immune system to develop antibodies against the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes COVID-19. It helps to reduce hospitalization, severity of the disease, and death. What is the Pfizer vaccine made of, and is it safe? The Pfizer vaccine is made up of mRNA messenger ribonucleic acid, which are molecules that carry the genetic information needed to make proteins, lipid, salts, and sugar. It is safe for persons 12 years and older and does not contain the COVID-19 virus, hence cannot cause infection. Tests have shown that the vaccine is effective against current virus variants. Who should take the Pfizer vaccine? The Pfizer vaccine should be taken by persons 12 years of age and older who do not have severe allergic reaction after a previous dose of vaccine or have not had severe allergic reaction to any ingredient of this vaccine. 2 doses of the vaccine are required 3 weeks apart. If you are between the ages of 12 and 17 years, you are required to present a signed consent form before you are vaccinated. What are the side effects of the Pfizer vaccine? Some common side effects of the Pfizer vaccine are headache, fatigue, muscle pain, fever, chills, and swelling at the injection site. If side effects persist, contact your doctor as soon as possible. Does the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine prevent infection and transmission? No, vaccination alone does not prevent infection and transmission. We are still required to continue to wear masks properly, physically distance, wash and sanitize hands often, practice proper coughing and sneezing hygiene, and avoid crowds.
And Messi is standing over this. Messi.
Great entertainment stays with you, and we bring you great entertainment. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
Download the SmartStream app on the Android Play Store and create your account to get access to movies and stream at home or on the go. Prepaid customers can purchase regular data packages or get a discounted rate on a special SmartStream package by dialing 7737. Postpaid customers will be billed monthly. Never miss a movie again with SmartStream.
Across the country, thousands of primary and secondary school students returned to their classrooms today, officially bringing to an end their Easter vacation. While they are settling into the final leg of the academic year, their teachers are still waiting for the 10% salary reduction to be returned to their monthly income. This morning, President of the Belize National Teachers Union, Senator Elena Smith, spoke about the morale of teachers going into third term.
In terms of the 10%, we have a lot of teachers who, while they have heard the pronouncement, are waiting to get that in hand first for them to believe. And I think we can understand the level of disbelief that our teachers may have in terms of this matter. We know that we, from our part, have done our best, to ensure that our teachers suffer as minimal as possible.
Yeah.
We tried to work with the banks to get this, interest rates for them, all of those sorts of things. But there are those who are very happy to know that, it will be reinstated. But we still have those who, while they are happy to know that, they are still skeptical. And I guess we can understand that. In terms of the return to the classroom, now we have not done a formal poll of our members to find from them, what they feel, how they feel, what they think, that sort of thing. But if we go based on initially, we have a lot of teachers who were very happy to return to the classroom because they felt that they needed that one-on-one with their students. They needed to have the children around them. And some of them felt that they were not doing as good a job with distance because they were unable to control what was happening at home.
On Saturday, the media was invited to accompany Miss Earth 2021 Destiny Wagner on a visit to her home village of Barranco. The visit, which was made possible through support from the Belize Tourism Board, was to give back to the primary school students at the St. Joseph RC School located in the heart of the village. At the same time, we got to find out about the village and the non-profit Operation Kingdom. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
Operation Kingdom was in full effect on Saturday when Miss Earth 2021 Destiny Wagner returned to the remote village of Barranco to give back to the children and community. It is where she grew up, and so the experience was nostalgic for the beauty ambassador as the children performed and presented her with a gift.
It's very sentimental for me because I grew up here and I see a reflection of myself in these children. So for me to come back and give back to my community, I'm hoping that it just inspires them to do the same thing.
Let's talk about Operation Kingdom.
Yes. So it is a nonprofit that my family, my parents started years ago to help aid the children in the villages, because growing up here, we see firsthand that we don't have the things that other children have outside of this village. So it's really important that we provide these children with resources so that way they can excel in the classrooms as opposed to excelling in the streets, which would be the next alternative. So we really want to push education and make sure they know that their dreams are achievable.
Through partnership with the Belize Tourism Board, the media accompanied Wagner from Punta Gorda to Barranco via boat. After a short walk to the St. Joseph RC School in the village, a brief ceremony was held, during which school supplies were handed over.
What she's doing here with Operation Kingdom is in line with the vision of the Minister of Tourism, who is on a mission to end poverty or to eliminate poverty in our country. And so it is a perfect partnership. We look forward to continue working with her on these initiatives. And we have other initiatives that we'll be working with throughout the year along with Destiny.
I think that this area is often misrepresented or not represented at all, and a lot of Belizeans have never been to the south, Punta Gorda, where's Barranco. So I'm happy that Belize Tourism Board is partnering with me and we're able to highlight these areas because they are so rich in culture, and these people do contribute to our society whether we choose to acknowledge that or not.
The donation is much needed, says teaching principal Loma Rodriguez, because it is difficult to access supplies for the institution.
Barranco is a place where it's difficult to get resources, so this donation will definitely enhance learning at our school. It will definitely help our students so that they can learn and they will be able to do better. When it comes to this, the cleaning supplies, we really need those during the pandemic, we had to do, we reopened school and we had to do a lot of hygiene, like washing hands, and we keep running out of supplies. So we are very grateful for the supplies and we will definitely use them.
There are currently 29 students enrolled at the institution. The population is approximately 150. The event also brings much needed focus on the village, which for some has been forgotten, even though it is where musical legend Andy Palacio was born.
We have now started a sustainable tourism desk at the BTB, and two, we've also started a cultural desk at the BTB. So what those two desks or portfolios are working on is how we can assist communities such as Barranco to be involved more in the tourism industry and to benefit from the tourism industry. So it won't happen overnight, but we continue and will continue to work to ensure that everybody has a role to play in the tourism industry and to benefit from the tourism industry.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
The tourism industry has been rebounding in the past few months, and over the Easter weekend, the number of flights touching down at the PGIA and the tourists across the country are telltale signs of a booming industry. But while figures for the first quarter are up, Tourism Director Evan Tillett says that the numbers are not where they were pre-COVID.
We are currently still working on the numbers for 2021, 2022. But what we have seen is definitely a rebound since the COVID pandemic. We remain positive that we will continue to rebound. I think Belize led the way in the region in terms of its rebounding as it relates to tourism visitation to our destination. We continue to focus on strategic marketing, which allows a lot of people to come into our country. And of course, we still have some gaps in tourism that we are working on in order to try and fix so that we can have a world-class product and can compete on a global level. So in terms of the numbers, I would say, is somewhere around 70-75% of where we were 2019 in the past last quarter. And so the outlook is very positive.
So what's the strategy to get those numbers up? Director Evan Tillett breaks down how that's going to look.
Well, one of the things that we did was to basically focus on all the destinations or source markets that we have direct flights into the country. One of the key things we did in terms of the recovery efforts was to ensure that we get back all of the flight connections that we had pre-COVID. We went beyond that. We actually gotten 2 new ones in 2021, and we are currently working to try and get additional airlifts from the destinations in the US. We're also focusing on Europe, regional carriers as well, to try and develop new markets for Belize. Mexico is a huge potential. They have 120 million people. They're the second largest dive market right after the US, and they are our next door neighbors. We had 7,000 Mexicans coming into Belize in 2019. I find that number to be very low, and I think that we can grow that number significantly if we do the right things. But the focus of the marketing strategy is to basically focus on where the source markets are and do targeted marketing in all the feeder markets that leads up into those direct flight routes.
A delegation from Belize left the country to meet with cruise line representatives to further develop the cruise tourism industry in Belize. The cruise sector is said to have been the hardest hit in terms of tourism. While speaking about increasing calls to port in Belize, Tourism Director Evan Tillett was also asked about those cruise ports that are also coming on stream soon.
We continue to work with the lines to get new ships in. They are currently working on ramping up their numbers. They are at 50% in terms of capacity They are as much as I think 60-70%, almost 80%, and then Omicron hit and they had to regress. And so they're just now in the process of ramping up those numbers. And so we should see a strong rebound in cruise tourism as we move into 2022. One of the critical things in cruise tourism is to have a docking facility. The ships that are being built now are being larger ships, and having a tender port creates a lot of logistical issues. And so we really need to have a port docking facility in Belize if we are to continue to grow the cruise tourism numbers. If we don't get that, then we will end up losing numbers because the bigger ships will bypass our port. So it is critical that we have a docking facility in this country as quickly as possible.
What kind of assurance can you give to this small man that they will also be able to provide services to those tourists?
The BTB is the regulator of the industry. I go back to that. In terms of ensuring that there is a fairness within the industry, we'll do everything in our power to ensure that. Having a docking facility does not really change the dynamics in terms of the tour operation side of the business. What it does, if you have a product that you can take to the cruise lines and you can sell to the cruise lines, you can become a contracted.
While the media spoke with the Prime Minister, he clarified a report that he had placed pressure on forestry officers at the northern border to desist from enforcing international site standards on a florist who sought ministerial intervention. This was how the PM explained the incident.
I was called by the Minister of Agriculture, very frustrated. He was saying that Ms. Chan, I don't know Ms. Chan, is a young entrepreneur trying her very best to start her own business that has done everything possible to be able to import the plants to Belize. She had a previous problem a few weeks ago when she had all her permits and everything in place, and then she was being stopped at the border, giving problems at the border and could not bring in her plants. And again, Minister Mike called me as the minister responsible to ask me if I could please ask the people at the Customs Department to ask them to please process that permit or that order, whereas if it stays on the other side, it is going to be they're going to spoil. They're going to die. So again, I had to call and ask, and it was done and everything, and nothing happened. This time around now, again, I was in the middle of a meeting, again, and Minister Mike called me again, very frustrated. Again, he says, the same person is having the very same problem, and saying that now Baja had approved, and they have approved, and that everything was in place. I think he even said that Forestry have approved a permit for them to bring in these. I know that there is no a staff member from the Forestry Department that was now attempting to take away these plants. I was in the middle of a meeting. I quickly called I know the mother-in-law, so I called her and asked if I can speak to the officer in charge. And the officer in charge was very rude, the way he behaved, and said, well, only his boss can call him. And I said, well, I'm asking you as Prime Minister to please allow them to come in, and then we can deal with the facts afterwards, since it was already here. And that if there was any, he did not cite anything about CITES, by the way. One of the biggest problems that we have in government, and the Forestry Department is no exception. It's not they're the only one, sorry. All of the other departments, they all have their rules, and sometimes they drag their feet. You have the problems with DOE, with Geology, with Lands Department, and you have people that want to provide a service to our citizens. You have people that have invested a lot of money. You have small businesses like this individual, like Ms. Chan, who they put their life savings to try to get a permit and to try to open a business. And when we drag our feet, we create serious problems. Yes, I called. That person was very rude and set down the phone on me. And I'm certain he would not dare do that to Dean Barrow back then. But he did it. And I'm going to speak with the minister about that. But more importantly, our public officers, previously our public officers were referred to as public servants. because they are here to serve our citizens. And there are many instances when I find that members of our government drag their feet. And there are some instances, and I'm not suggesting this was one of them, but there are instances that they drag their feet because they want to be compensated for the work that the Belizean citizens are already paying them.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.